Creative Assembly recently released a list of known issues for Total War Warhammer 3, and one of the line items there puzzled me greatly, which is that, apparently, people are claiming, Cold One Knights, Cold One Riders, stuff like that tends to underperform, the Lizard Cavalry specifically, and I'm here to tell you that if that's the case for you, then you're using them wrong, because they are quite good if you use them appropriately. Today we're going to see Coop's Dark Elves take on Cathay. Frontline is going to be lots of chaff here, bleak swords, dread spears. I say chaff, but of course the low-tier Dark Elf troops are some of the best in the game, can definitely give Cathay a run for their money in terms of cost-effectiveness, which is certainly saying something. A couple of Dark Shards here already getting shredded by the crane guns in the distance. We've got 3 bolt throwers as well, some Dark Riders with shields, a single Cold One Knight, Sorceress of Dark Magic, plus some Corsairs. And that's it for the Elves. For Cathay, Miao Ying leading the way, some Jade Warriors, got some Jade Lancers on the side, triple Crane Gunner, plus some Peasant Long Spears, and the Regiment of Renown, Righteous Lances of Wei Jin up in the air, of course, with their armor-piercing damage. Let's give a quick comparison, though. This is going to be interesting, because this is another kind of monstrous cavalry. 24 unit models is definitely less than the Cold One Knights, but notice the HP, and this is the one thing here, as we see some chill winds and lots of gunfire going off in the front line. To make a note of, as this fight develops, is the low HP of the Cold One Knights is the biggest thing to watch out for. They only have 48 models, which is less than the 60 of traditional cavalry on ultra unit sizes, and not the most HP either. Like, even these Righteous Lances of Wei Jin actually have more HP. So once you're aware of that, they are a little bit glass cannon, right? You have to be very conscious about where and when you use them, but the damage output for the cost is potentially incredible. Of course, anti-large armor piercing, but speaking of armor piercing, in the front line here, we've seen some really nice chill wind spam. It's a great way to deal efficient, cost-effective armor piercing damage to these Cathayan infantry over time, and of course, as I mentioned, bleak swords here, the sad swords, are one of the best units. Probably trading 1v1 versus Jade Warriors. Yes, the Jade Warriors matter. The armor matters, I should say, and Harmony especially. You can see the difference. 32-48 for the unit in Harmony, 24-36 without it. It's definitely fairly impactful to have that active. But speaking of impact, a lot of these Dark Elf units are struggling to even get into the front line. There's not too many important, expensive targets for the crane guns to focus. They've been focusing like 600 cost Dark Shards and Corsairs right now, which is definitely not the best, but Oops is doing something smart, which is that he's mostly keeping his Cold One Knights out of range for the time being. Not only that, but he's also protecting all this artillery, which is a substantial investment. There's, what, 2,100 points worth of artillery there, in case the Righteous Lances were to sweep back. And because the crane guns are focus firing on things that are not the artillery can then counterfire the crane guns very effectively, and you can see how the models are being killed by the single shot fire here. Model gets exploded there, and it's very cost-effective way to trade, right? These crane guns 1-to-1 are 300 cost, more expensive, 50% almost more expensive than the bolt throwers there, so super efficient trade for Coops, and playing very safe with his own cavalry. Now the Cold One Knights facing less of a threat do get deployed in here, and they're going to be used to do some nasty charges. Of course, their anti-large armor piercing damage helps them trade very efficiently against the Jade Lancers, especially as they're not taking the charge from the Jade Lancers, but with Murderous Prowess active, especially now, they're up to 55 charge and 36 melee attack on top of a 14 bonus versus large and 30 armor piercing damage. It's a downright alarming stat line for a unit of that cost, only 1,000 points for these guys, and especially with Murderous Prowess active, they'll outtrade most, pretty much all mid-tier cavalry in the game, I would say. Maybe not Knights of the Realm, I don't know. That'd be an interesting comparison. Probably they beat Knights of the Realm in a clean 1v1, but yeah, the thing is here, again, Coops is just avoiding taking damage, like another great charge into these Jade Lancers without them getting their own charge. Likewise, for Cathay, these Righteous Lances of Wei Jin, probably best thing for them to do would be to get up in the air and drop a quick rear charge on these Cold One Knights, but even the Cold One Knights fighting, a non-AP shock cavalry and sustained melee, where it shouldn't really shine, still do struggle to a degree due to lowish attack and defense, and that low HP definitely need to keep them moving as much as possible. So they're going to pull away here. The Rampage mechanic, Primal Instincts, No longer gives Rampage, of course. Just gives a straight-up buff, physical resistance, charge bonus, and melee attack once they're below 50% HP. So that low HP is an issue, but they will get a little bit of a damage spike. You see that activates now. They're up to, again, 51 charge bonus, a little bit of extra melee attack, 5% physical resistance is not much, but certainly is enough to help. Meanwhile, we take a look at the rest of the battlefield here. Coop's doing a great job chasing routing units, his Dark Riders, and then just, you know, more or less trading. Again, though, the Cathayans making a fairly critical error here in not utilizing these Righteous Lances to their best effect, I think. So far, yeah, they've only got 500 value. Oof, Coop's potentially had a position there where he could have closed them off with the Cold One Knights. Yeah, it seems like he realized that kind of after the fact. There's still a few unit models caught on the ground here. Let's see if they're able to get back up into the air. It looks like at least one or two of them is going to get caught as these Cold One Knights hit their charge animation. And, yeah, they managed to do some damage there. It looks like the Righteous Lances are now going to charge in, and that's what I'm talking about there, the vulnerability of these Cold One Knights. Yeah, that charge dropping down from the air, the Righteous Lances just did a substantial amount of damage. Probably should have dropped that earlier in the game. At this point, it's looking a little late. I mean, certainly Yao Ying is struggling versus Malice, and the rest of the battlefield, the armies have more or less traded, along with Dark Riders just chasing routing units. Dark Elf Infantry also, I mean, baseline leadership, let's check here. Base 66 leadership, and of course, Jade Warriors coming in at 64. So, again, the attack defense is better. Pretty much the only thing that the Jade Warriors have going for them in that specific matchup is Harmony, of course, and then their armor. But without Harmony, their stats are markedly worse. Then, yeah, 24-36 versus 37-33. I guess technically more melee defense, but that offensive potential, 35 weapon strength as well versus only 28. So that difference in armor is somewhat made up for by the difference in weapon strength. And given that the Bleak Swords are cheaper, they were probably second only to Slanesh devoted Marauders in terms of low-tier infantry. I'd probably put Jade Warriors at number 3. They're kind of right on the border at 500 cost of low to mid-tier, but I would still consider them low-tier infantry. Personally, they do trade reasonably well here, but not quite cost-effective. Actually, none of them quite pay for themselves. The crane guns as well, same thing, very well limited by the bolt throwers, all of which are going to get really nice value, all pay for themselves. Technically, I guess one didn't, but it did. And then, of course, the low-tier infantry trading well for Dark Elves. But then, of course, the cavalry, 1570 on these Cold One Knights, 72 kills, 11,000 damage dealt. It's a great performance. I mean, armor-piercing damage is really nice to have against Cathay. Oops, played them really smart, too. And that's the key here, is to play smart with these cavalry. Think about when and where you're going to deploy them, right? Make sure you keep them out of danger for as long as possible. But once you take that opportunity, just understand that they are likely to die out, but they are going to get the damage done that you need them to, right? So there you go. Of course, Malice also carries about 3,000 value dueling with Miao Ying, which is to be expected. He's one of the best duelists in the game, and I don't know, even Zhao would probably struggle. I don't think Cathay really has anyone that can handle him in melee, so it's a little bit of a problem for them. Hopefully Cathay gets some more potent melee characters later on down the line, but that's it for today. Hopefully you guys enjoyed watching. If you like this sort of content, be sure to like, subscribe, hit that bell notification button. Every time I upload a new video, you'll be notified. Thanks again. We'll see you next time.